And she's brought back one of our favorites.
Yes.
Deepak Chopra.
No, I come bearing gifts.
Yes. Is back with us. So glad you're here. This is your third time. You're going to take my seat eventually.
No.
That's good. That's good. You're the author of You Are the Universe, Discovering Your Cosmic Self and Why It Matters.
A book that I love
Yes.
and I fully endorse.
Me too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone
And
needs to read it.
people
Go to
who
bookstore.
watched, who've seen your segment, have bought it and have commented on it as well. Okay, so I wasn't here a few weeks ago.
Things went down.
They did go down, apparently,
went
which
down.
I was like, what the hell is going on? So I haven't seen the whole thing, but I got filled in on it. If it's okay with you, I haven't seen it. And for those who haven't seen it, we're going to roll a little bit of what happened a few weeks ago for the Bookster segment, if
Perfect.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson was here. Let's take a look. Okay, well, let's see. Let's just come back to us. I'm not sure if we have the audio for that.
Well,
but apparently,
basically-
tell us what happened,
So
Carrie.
the audio, what he said was that Deepak has a profound misunderstanding of quantum mechanics, and that Deepak finds words in quantum physics that sound deep and profound, but they're not.
Oh, shit.
And Neil deGrasse Tyson also said that Deepak's science literacy is below what he portrays himself to.
What the hell do you do when I'm not here?
So it's
that?
okay. So you know what Neil is.
And I should say, we did give Neil a chance to respond and come on the set, and we'd love to have him come back at any point. I am a big fan of Neil.
What is he going to respond to? You don't let the man talk.
Sorry.
So, by the way, I hope, Neil, you're watching this, and if you're not, I'm going to send you a link.
This is all. I just get some popcorn, folks.
Yeah.
Okay, what's going on?
Neil is what is called a naive realist.
What's that?
Which means that he believes that our perceptions of the world are what the world is really like. But our perceptions of the world are a human experience and human consciousness. So you can't have a knowing of the cosmos. You can't even do quantum physics unless you're a conscious being. All reality is structured, governed, constructed, and comes into existence in our consciousness, including that which we call the universe. So consciousness and cosmos go together. Never mind quantum physics or science. Science is a method of inquiry in human consciousness. As Werner Heisenberg, one of the fathers of quantum physics, said, nature doesn't reveal herself to us as she is, but as exposed to our method of questioning. Who is it that wants to know? Who is it that is doing the experiments? What is it that conceives of experiments, designs them, and makes the observation? So, any explanation of a universe independent of consciousness is theoretical. So his science is based on faith, that there is something called matter independent of our experience of it. Well, if there is a reality outside of our experience of it, or outside awareness, or outside consciousness, it's unavailable. We'll never know what it is. The only reality we know is that which we experience in human consciousness. It's a human experience, not a dolphin experience. Ask a dolphin about stars. What does the world look like to an insect with 100 eyes?
So are these two different schools of thought, though?
No, they're all schools of thought. Science is a school of thought. Philosophy is a school of thought. Religion is a school of thought. Everything that we can name or describe is a school of thought. Reality has nothing to do with schools of thought. Reality is that which gives rise to thought itself, Sarah?
Okay, so I think part of his argument was saying that he had tools to measure fact, right? And there are laws that are now deemed as fact. So what?
The tools are extensions
of
consciousness and extensions of our sensory experience. And that sensory experience is an activity in consciousness. That's all we can know. So when I ask you what is this, you'll probably say it's a cup or a mug.
It's a very important set piece that Carrie always wants to be on camera.
Actually, this is an experience. And what is an experience? It's a shape, it's a form, it's a color, it's a sound, it's a sensation, and therefore it's an activity of consciousness. The human construct is it's a mug. So anything that you can name or describe, is a human construct for a mode of knowing and experience in that which we call consciousness.
Sure. And what I think Neil said when he was here was that just because I don't know everything about the universe, so we know that only 4.6% of the universe is known and that we're able to measure. So much of it is dark matter. The vast majority of it, we actually don't even know how to measure we don't know how to describe it. But what he did say was that even if I don't know all the details, I at least know the bounds of it, is what he was saying. So because I know the bounds
who is
of it,
the I that knows what it knows and knows what it doesn't know? What is that I? If you say that I is this body-mind and the universe is separate from me, then you're already starting with the wrong premise. This body-mind is as much an activity of the universe that I'm observing. The I that experiences body-mind and the universe as a unified activity is consciousness. There's no consciousness and cosmos that are separate. Consciousness and cosmos are complementarities. And many scientists will say that. He's a naive realist. He's a naive skeptic. He needs to be a radical skeptic. Question the existence of matter itself, because what we call matter is the interpretation of this experience. Where is that experience happening?
Okay, listen, is this the thing that's been going on? I mean, is this thing between the two of you something that's happened before?
Actually, there's been going on for 35 years.
Between the two of you?
No, between me and the self-proclaimed militant atheists.
Okay, but
like
you had
Richard Dawkins, you know,
that's been going on
many
before
men. That's
Jesus,
been going on for a long time.
Right.
And what they started off by calling me a charlatan 35 years ago. I was on the cover of Skeptic magazine. Now the
got a cover out of
skeptics, now the skeptics are on the defense because what we call matter turns out to be immaterial. The source of the universe is immaterial.
Okay, but let me ask this, though, because I admittedly don't understand it. I'm not going to be a quantum physicist or any of that at any point. But when you wrote your book, you did it with a PhD in physics. It was a professor, sorry, but with a PhD. Why
in physics and cosmology?
What's the value of having someone who thinks, I'm assuming, somewhat more like Neil deGrasse Tyson does, to do the book with you if you don't necessarily have the same?
No. Neil deGrasse Tyson serves a purpose, and that is creating a construct that is useful for doing technology, for creating instruments. But the empirical universe, that which we call the factual universe, is not even 4%. It's 0.01% of what exists out there, because the rest is invisible. Even the rest of the atomic universe is invisible interstellar dust. And the atomic universe, notwithstanding what Neil might say, subatomic particles are also waves of probability. Particles have mass and energy. Probabilities exist in mathematical imagination. So the universe that they describe is a useful model, but no model is reality. You know, Rumi, the great Sufi poet, says God's language is silence. Everything else is poor translation. And that includes science.
Well, so one thing that I've seen Neil say is that even if we don't know everything about the universe today, our knowledge has been constantly expanding. You know, look at what's happened since the Enlightenment, since the Industrial Age. So even though we don't know everything now, we will know in the future, and that's why he, in his own way, has faith. In my opinion, he has faith that science and the observability will explain.
Without answering, but without asking the question, who's the observer? What is the observer? The more we have knowledge of the universe as an external observer, independent reality, which is based on faith, okay, the more knowledge we have that, the more we lose sight of that which wants to know. Okay, so that kind of knowledge is actually ignorance of the true self, which is where all reality is constructed, conceived, governed, and comes into existence.
But he also said that we are stardust. He's the one who convinced people everywhere that we are made out of stardust.
Yeah,
star particles,
we are
right?
stardust
So
beings
saying
with
the same thing.
self-awareness.
We are
He
the
also
universe.
said that the universe spoke to him.
Yeah.
He was a boy, which I was like,
thing.
you sound like
We are stardust. We are stardust with self-awareness. We are actually, this brain is the observation deck for the universe to look at itself
yeah.
through a human experience, not through the experience of a mosquito or an insect with 100 eyes or a bat that knows the world through the echo of ultrasound. There's no such thing as a universe. That's a human construct for a species-specific mode of knowing and experience.
So now, listen, I may be a realist, or maybe I may be completely
Skeptic.
confused. A skeptic, I don't know. but even you admitted and said that there is a value to what to the thought. The
There's a
world of thought.
practical value. I took
Then how does it? So what makes it? How's it wrong?
because it pretends to know, or states anyway, some people, like naive people like Neil and many others, it says that my methodology has answers to the meaning of existence, what love is, how do I know what I know, what is the meaning of death, is there a God, are we just an accident? None of these questions can be answered by the methodology that we call science. It's a method of inquiry in human consciousness. Okay, so is religion, so is philosophy, so is theology.
Is it not just? Is it
Reality,
not just at some
though,
point-
may I say something? Reality requires transcendence of thought.
Is it not just at some point though that it's like religion in a way that some people choose to be Catholic and believe a certain thing, and some people just want to believe this is a fucking cup, you know, and that's all it is.
We created it. Just as you created the construct of a cup, you created the concept or construct, I have a body, I have a mind, there is a universe. These are all activities of consciousness within consciousness.
Right, but is there not a way-
Feelings, thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions, and their interpretations, period.
Right, but I'm not going to say-
we participate in the creation of that which we call the universe.
But I'm not going to say that someone who is Jewish, I grew up Southern Baptist and have a very different belief set than someone who grew up Mormon or grew up Catholic. I'm not going to say to them, just personally, that what they believe is wrong or it's naive, because, you know, I don't want them saying that about my stuff. Is it okay to say that about someone's
I
beliefs?
think what we have to really question is our habitual certainties, whether they come from science or religion or theology or philosophy. We have to take time to be silent and just be. And when you are silent and just being, you recognize there's a knowing element in every experience. Spiritual traditions call it the soul, spirit, consciousness, fundamental reality, whatever. It doesn't matter. That which knows this experience is not in time. Because once upon a time, this experience was a baby. This experience was a toddler. But the knowing of that experience in consciousness is the timeless factor.
But it is a provable fact, right? That the baby will become a teenager and will become an adult, and it's going to happen that way.
That's an activity. It's a process. Where is that process happening? Where is the knowing?
But it's provable that it's always going to happen.
Yeah, what we call laws of nature are regularities of experience.
Got an answer for everything. I'll give him that. I'll give you that.
But the laws are always bendable, is what we see.
Yeah, moreover,
That's-
nobody
Is it
even...
bendable that you won't become an adult at some point?
The laws evolve,
isn't.
but what they are is regularities of experience in human consciousness. But nobody even knows why there are laws. I've asked cosmologists and quantum physicists, so yeah, there are laws. Why do they exist?
Well, and also evolution, to see what was an adult, like the evolution of the Homo sapien. Like this has been a millions years
Sweet
process.
mercy. I tell you what I've learned on this show is that we all have to come together, and sometimes I just have to be here and disagree with everyone else who's here. And so I'm going to have to do that
I
today.
think we have to lose our arrogance, our hubris. We have to exchange our cleverness for bewilderment. This is an amazing
I can
experience
promise
that
you,
you're having.
we got to go, but I can
That we
promise you,
exist.
I am bewildered.
That, if we exist, should be a perpetual surprise.
You come back and keep on trying to convince
Oh, I
me,
love
and we'll
it.
get
I
Neil
have more
deGrasse Tyson.
questions.
We're going to have to go, so make it real quick.
Sorry, I talked so much, but I want to send this to Neil.
Well, we'll
I
send
have
it.
one more question for you.
Jesus in heaven. One more question. We got to go.
Because it's Thanksgiving. Deepak, what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for existence. I'm thankful that we are having this conversation. I'm thankful that I have grandchildren, that I'm thankful that I can experience love, compassion, joy, equanimity, and this adventure that we call existence.
Well,
it's the biggest
we're
mystery
thankful-
that we exist.
We're thankful you join us and come
I'm
back.
thankful
You'll
for
be
you.
you're one of our most frequent guests. We'll get Neil deGrasse Tyson. Maybe we'll get you both on at the same time.
Please
That'll
do.
be a hell of a bookster segment. Sarah Hill, thank you very much for being
Thank
with
you.
us. Deepak Chopra.
Thank you, Sarah.
We'll see you again
Come on
soon.
your
Thank you
show,
guys
too.
very much. Whew.
Oh my
I
gosh.
get, you love that stuff.
brilliant. I'm
I'm-
obsessed with it.
Sometimes
This
you
is-
are.
I wake up.
Sometimes I'm confused by it. I'll tell you one thing though, that is a concrete, unbendable law of nature.